talk email templates. What is authentic? What is not authentic? And we're going to introduce you to probably some of the coolest technology you've ever seen in your life. To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. Geez, we're really out of date on that. Weekly. We're daily, my friends. We're daily. Here's the big question for today, my friends. And I think it's a question that's really going to hit home for all of you. We've got Hans Dekker with us. Now, Hans is the CEO, founder, and owner, and he's created some pretty cool AI. So here's the question for you. How do you get more done in less time, right? I think that's the ultimate question so many salespeople are trying to answer. You look at so many massive, successful people in any industry, and it's always about compounding that output. And, automate, delegate, delete, whatever the strategy, if you're using an ADD strategy, if you're using another strategy. And one thing that's become apparent, DJ, right? We've been using it for years is email. And in today's fractured supply chain, in today's fractured business environment, right now, again, in Ontario, it's mandated by the government. If you can work from home, you have to work from home. Yeah. And that means not necessarily being right in front of your office phone, more being in your cell phone. Not in front of your office phone means, as a salesperson, I got to have your cell phone in order to get a hold of you, or we can use this beautiful thing called email. And so many people are saying email's dead, email's dead, email's dead. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, because what is a better way to connect with somebody, right? Think about it. A cold call always catches somebody at an inappropriate time. Nobody's sitting there waiting for Hans or DJ or Dan to call them. I can't wait today. I'm going to sit around my phone. I'm going to wait for DJ to call me to sell me something, right?
The next best salesperson, call me right now.
Yeah, right now, right? Nobody does that. But, and here's my perspective on it, is email is one of the most phenomenal tools. Do I hate this thing and email sometimes? Damn right, because there's no privacy. But here's the thing, and here's kind of the aha moment that happened, if you want to go into Oprah's realm. When you realize that you don't have to reply to everybody right when they send you an email, you no longer become a slave to email. So Hans has developed a tool and strategy that I'd love, Hans, for you to share with us what it does, kind of how it works. And then let's dive into email templates, authenticity, because I know that's a big question for people is, well, if you do automated emails, it's not really authentic. And I believe there's ways to not get around, but there's ways to address that I think are authentic ways. So Hans, we'll let you have the floor. Share with us, my friend, what Lyne.AI is. I'm dying for you to share this with the audience, man.
All right. No, listen, first of all, I very much appreciate you guys having me, and I'm 100 times more excited than you are. So just to provide everyone with a little bit of background as to why Lyne was created in the first place, is I come from an agency background, and years ago, I think about 7-8 years ago now, I sold email. I think the first of a few ones, and people say, hey, you know what, let's do business. And I was just absolutely hooked. That moment where you start something new and you're like, I can send an email and people say yes or no. And look at that, the next day we're signing a check and we're doing business. So that super direct route, that really fascinated me. I'm not always a very patient man. So when, you can do something directly, and especially as a small business, when you don't have a big budget, you cannot replan for 10 years or this or that. The more direct you can get, the better. So cold email really fascinated me. So sort of naturally, I moved into providing cold email as a service for other businesses. So I was helping small businesses, mainly marketing agencies, to generate more leads, get more clients through cold email. And a part of that was, first, it worked great with just sending emails, right? Just generic emails. But then over time, you could see performance go down. And as we started personalizing each email more, trying different strategies. So at one point, we had a bunch of assistants or sales reps who were managing, let's say, between 5 and 10 clients, and they would have all these massive spreadsheets where you have these clients or these prospects, their data, so their online data, their LinkedIn profile, their website, their Facebook profile, and you just go row by row. You have a look, okay, that guy, he has a case study in his website. And then you type something in the next column, say, hey, Dan, really enjoyed your case study on more effective podcasting. All right, next one. And you do 15, maybe 20 per hour. You have all those columns, and then you can start sending emails. So to actually do that at scale for multiple clients, that was horrible. I really genuinely hated it, and I'm not ever doing it again in my life. But then again, that's how most businesses are born. I think that's how
Yeah.
most business ideas are born. You hate something, you have a problem, you solve it. So I was lucky enough to meet my co-founders, and we actually never met in real life, but we're running a fairly successful business these days, where we do that whole bit, but automated. So what we do, you give us a list of your prospects who you're looking to reach out to. So you imagine you give me a list of 1,000 prospects, and you're saying, listen, these people I would like to have a conversation with. Then what we do, our AI researches all those people online, so finds maybe recent podcast appearances, or finds articles that they've published that they've been featured in, or maybe something on their LinkedIn profile, educational experience. You will write something around that, and it will provide you with those snippets that you can use in your email. So instead of now being able to do 15 or 20 per hour, you can do around 1,000 to 1,200 per hour instead, while you're doing something else. So it's a cloud operation, it's AI. You give us your prospects, it runs in the background, you'll do something else, and we'll personalize all your emails for you.
So and good morning, Gary.
Good
Good morning,
morning,
hope
everybody.
Arkansas. Hope you guys are keeping it hot down there. Morning, Jeff. So this is very intriguing for me because I
It's
love
interesting.
email. I think email over phone calls is the pillar way for a couple of reasons. So before everybody starts trashing me saying, no, cold calls, cold calls. I believe in meetings more than anything else. I believe in setting time aside more than anything else. I mean, Hans, even when you and I first connected, right? It could have been as easy as, hey, let's continue the conversation. But it's like, I know now might not be a great time. Can we schedule a time to talk? Right? Because I don't believe the first email or the first cold call should ever sell anything. There's an investigative process, right? We have to be like CSI detectives to figure things out. For one reason, I'm going to assume I've only ever sold logistics, but I'm going to assume in any sales world, the person you're trying to sell doesn't come right out and say, "Oh my God, here's my problems. Here's everything that I suck at. Here's what's not good about what I do. I'm promoted and I'm way over my head." Like, we don't know each other. You're never coming out and saying that. And so for me, that intro email, that intro part is more of a qualification. And let's set a time where we can take 15, 10, 15, 20 minutes and be uninterrupted and have a conversation. Because, back in the first part of my career, congruency and aligning with people was totally irrelevant. I was like, I want the cash. Let's go. You have the money. I want to get in your wallet. And I would, as horrible as it sounds, I would say anything to get the business. Like, I would promise anything. I was that salesperson that everyone hates.
Well, they teach that in the movies and Wolf of Wall Street. They're telling you to pretend you're the VP.
When I started, it was Glengarry Glen Ross, which ABC, always be closing.
Always be closing. That's
not
right.
everybody is a good close, and not everybody's a good customer. And and it's so this technology that you showed me, I've been privy to. I mean, DJ, it is actually beyond that. Like, AI, listen, you can go, there's copywriting AI where you enter, 50 different sentences and it writes like a 4-page sales letter for you. that has all the push-pull scenarios, all the the conversion tactics and all that kind of stuff. But it's also AI generated. However, when Hans gave me a demo of this product, and I apologize, I called it Lyne, or Lynn, it's Lyne.
That's you're definitely not the first, and won't be the
Yeah,
last.
I know. I know. It was pretty incredible, like pretty incredible. Now, Hans, does the AI technology, does it scrape based on like SEO or based on like words that get spidered by Google and all that? I mean, I don't want you to give away any proprietary thing, but just for anyone watching or listening that wants to, because we're going to share Lyne's link just so you guys can all go to the website, and Hans at the end will share how to get a hold of him. But how does this information get processed, and how accurate is it? Because I'll share with you a quick story, and I don't mean to ramble, and I know sometimes it takes me longer to get my questions out. TJ will tell you that. Sometimes it's like the question could be a 10-second, it takes me 4 minutes. But
That's all right.
I remember an executive VP and myself were on our way to a meeting, and we got off a plane from Montreal. We stopped in at our Toronto office at the time, the company I was working for. And I remember sitting down with one of he was the top salesperson in Toronto at that time. And we said, oh, we're going to this company. And he said, oh, I know the guy. And he starts handing us business cards. He's like, listen, this guy is really awesome. He works there. He controls this. This guy controls this. This guy does this. And this is the business they do. And we get to the meeting and we think like, dude, we're armed with some pretty awesome info. We get to the meeting. We're like, yeah, this guy does this. They go, no, he left 5 years ago. We're like, oh, well, this person does this. They go, no, he's been gone 3 years. I'm like, oh, well, you're doing this. They go, no, we ditched that lane about 7 years ago. So now my executive VP and I are sitting there like, we're just like, what do you do? How do you come back from that? So the first question that I had when we first started talking, Hans, is how accurate is this information? Like, where does it come from? So just share with us that.
Definitely. So yeah, like you already mentioned, I'm not going to get into too many technical details, but just like long story short, we depending on the settings that you give us, we research your prospect online. So imagine that you would tell us, listen, I only want podcast appearances, for example. Now, obviously, we're not going to find that for 100% of the prospects who you're reaching out to, just because not everyone enjoys being on a podcast. So in that case, we look at that and then we find that information. And then once we have that information, we apply scoring to it just to make 100% sure, okay, this is actually the Dan Deegan that we're looking for. So we score that and then we have a look at the information that we were able to find. Maybe we're only able to find 1 or 2 words because that podcast is really obscure. They don't have a lot of information online. And in that case, we're not always able to write something around that. But throughout the entire process, we have a lot of I cannot think of the right term, but like a lot of fail proofing going on that we learned the hard way, because accuracy in the beginning was a bit of a thing where maybe you say, hey, Dan, you just talked about this the other day, and you're like, you know what? No, I did not. That was other Dan Deegan. So right now we've got that down to an error rate of really, really close to 0%, where every now and then we always find the right person. But the only error rate that we really still have is when it talks about something that maybe it shouldn't, where we're filtering that. But you should see the list that we have of words that we're telling the AI to ignore. There's boobs on there, there's death on there, there are just a bunch of words on there, like, okay, this type of news maybe you want to ignore. So as you can imagine, that list keeps growing longer, and that's where every now and then something is in there where you're scanning the output and you think, okay, you know what, this is borderline, like I probably don't want to reach out that way. But then again, we always provide you with a backup as well, just in case you don't like the first output, or I'll go with the second one. So the accuracy is really, really close to 100%. And the only times where we're not accurate is because you would say, okay, hey, I don't really want to talk about that probably.
So when at the beginning, when you said, you went from kind of 100 emails an hour to 1,000, 1,200, are you talking if I uploaded I don't know, say a Boolean search from LinkedIn Navigator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uploaded that or uploaded a CSV file. Within an hour, you would have 1,200 intros, like 12, it would research 1,200 people. So then at that point, and I'm trying to give the audience a real grasp on what it is, I would have to copy and paste that into an email and send. Is that correct? Or your system actually sends those emails as well?
Right. That's more or less correct. So yeah, right now we're able to produce, let's for easy math, let's go with 1,000. So we're able to research 1,000 prospects and write the output for them. We'll have an update later this month, hopefully, or early next month, where we're able to 10x, maybe 20x that number. In terms of infrastructure, we'll have a major update. But so we're able to write 1,000 of those per hour. But then again, you don't have to go and copy and paste all of those. So you then in your dashboard, you download that CSV, which is the same CSV that you gave us, just with a couple of extra columns attached to it. And then imagine you're using Outreach.io, or you're using Mailshake, or you're using whichever email automation software that you're using. You just upload that CSV to there. You can tell it, okay, start sending these emails at 50 per day, for example, and you can go fishing, and at a rate of 50 emails per day, it will contact these people with personalized emails.
See,
I
that to
love how he
me
called it
is gold.
fishing. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I mean, DJ, isn't that gold? Like
And it's,
really, when
oh
you
my
think
gosh,
about
it's
it.
amazing.
So you're prospecting, you're qualifying, well, you can get other stuff done. Like,
Yeah.
again, I I don't know if there's any shippers or manufacturers out there watching this, but I don't know. To me, that makes sense. It makes total sense, because if I can focus on, building relationships with people that are interested in working with us, or we've piqued their interest as a salesperson, and my day can be filled with those booked meetings and conversations, while something in the background is sourcing. Like, I mean, I don't know, people watching, listening, share your comments. What do you think about email sourcing like that? I think it's fantastic. I think if I can automate everything in my business, I would. Like, think about it. You just, all of a sudden, your calendar is being filled with like-minded prospects that want to speak to you.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that to me, as a salesperson, if I'm talking about
It's
outputs
amazing.
that matter, that's an output that matters. Right. And so, Hans, like, you can go, like, your stuff can be uploaded into like HubSpot, into all the typical
Yep.
CRMs and stuff, to get them to all of a sudden start doing the work for you. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we natively integrate with a bunch of those, HubSpot and Outreach, not yet. But yes, so whichever tool you're currently using, you can use our output to automate your outreach. And then we'll have some other integrations and some other cool stuff coming up pretty soon. But you can use us with whichever software you're currently using.
Or you could just
Wow.
upload the CSV file, download the CSV file from your system,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then you
Yeah.
can actually copy and paste.
Yeah,
Right?
you
Like, I
can
mean,
as well,
if you have
definitely.
like a seamless AI or a Zoom info or something like that, where you have their email. So
Mhm.
in essence, even if whatever CRM, or if it's a custom CRM, most large brokerage companies have a custom CRM and sales system.
Mhm.
You're not limited. So anyone watching and listening, where you're there, you're not limited to not being able to use this product. You're able to use it. It would just be a matter of, to me, it's still awesome, because if
Yeah,
I give you 1,000
Yeah.
prospects, and in an hour I can have a CSV file that's literally a custom intro based on what the web has found, and I can spend 2 hours a day just copy pasting, changing names, like almost use your output as the new templates that kind of go.
exactly.
To me, that's a huge automation as well, because I'm not searching for any of that information.
Yeah, yeah. In
Right?
that case, it becomes more of a research assistant almost, where you run your prospects on maybe a bunch of different settings. Then you have your podcast there, your blogs, basically all their online activity, and we'll keep adding to that as well, where we'll keep presenting more and more data. Then when you actually get in that sales call, you can have that same sheet right there. You can have a look at some of the other things that it came up with. So, for example, we also analyze, if you leave those settings on, we'll analyze your entire LinkedIn profile, and then it will write something based on. It's actually a joke that I make on some sales calls. I fall into the trap of always making the same jokes on sales calls, where like I learned something new just by going through the output. So, for example, there are universities in the US that have cookie clubs, or boxing clubs, or I don't know. That's something that you learn. So it would say, hey, I noticed you went to this net university. Didn't know that it started as an all-male military school. It's actually something that I learned today. So you have that sheet right there. You're on a sales call, and you have that information, which we like to call ammo. So you have that sales ammo right there. It's like, hey, I noticed you went there and there. Did you know this and that? Or did you know that, I don't know, Lady Gaga went to the same university? Or I noticed that you have an award for this or that. Or so you have all these bits right there that you can then again use for your sales calls as well if you're looking to get even more out of it.
See, I think that's friggin' stellar. Like, and here's the thing, Hans, don't ever worry about telling the same joke over and over. Kevin Hart makes millions doing that on his stand-up comedy routines. Right? Every comedians make millions doing that. But so I think, I mean, from a technology perspective, from a research perspective, from a being able to customize things without spending my time doing it until I find out that someone's interested. I mean, I think that's so cool. Like, to being able to pull that and say, you know, and the AI technology to write something like, I had no idea that's the way it started, or that's what happened. I mean, that's freaking cool. I mean, little scary, but cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, look, we can't pretend that AI isn't out there. I mean, it's the future. AI and data is the future. So it's
Yeah.
definitely. And
well, I mean, like I was saying before, DJ, there's programs out there where literally they say, okay, what's your big benefit? And you type in your benefit. And then, you know, what's some of the pain points? You type in the pain points and you hit go. And it produces like multi-million-dollar converting sales copy, right? Based on all sorts of different frameworks, right? But to me, the reason I thought Hans would be like so awesome to share with our audience is because we're all doing this every day. And Hans, I know from being on your website and from our conversations, people can actually go there right now and get, was it 25 contacts for free to see how the system works?
Yeah, definitely. So you can get 25 contacts for free. And I see our website coming up in the background right there. That's us. So 25 contacts for free. You have a bunch of ways of earning more free credits if you join our Facebook group and jump through some other hoops. But then again, if you mention the podcast in the chat to us, then I'll add another 50, so people can really give it a try and make sure that they try some different settings, because obviously for each person, they would say, hey, that's something that I think that's really useful. This would work for my prospects. This wouldn't work for my prospects. So happy to add more free credits there. And then on the topic of AI, I think that as salespeople, we will never be replaced by AI. But then again, automation AI can help you get your foot in the door, and as you say, can pre-qualify, and then you're only left with people who would actually benefit from what it is that you have to offer, and then you can be just so much more valuable to these people. And it's just a way of getting your foot in the door. You're not wasting your own time, you're not wasting anyone's time, and you're just adding more value across the board and just making the entire experience more enjoyable for everyone, instead of just like spamming the heck out of everyone, or instead of burning out just because you have to get to a certain number of calls or emails, or I don't know. So I think everyone benefits from more automation. And yeah, I get that it's a bit scary at times, and it feels a bit off for some people. But then again, it will never close deals. It's just a matter of getting your foot in the door. We all need a bit of help there, and then you, as an awesome salesperson, you can build a genuine connection, and then move towards getting the deal done.
Yeah, and you know what? I hear you when you say feels a bit off, but again, I think for all of you sales reps out there that might feel that way, because I get it. I've felt like that when I first started emailing. I mean, I remember my first email campaigns was after I went to a conference with Catherine Hollingsworth, who's the CEO of Revenue Connections, and for 30 years she's been selling to the C-level. And I remember hitting send on that first email. I was like, I am so fake. Send. I am so fake, send. And it was a horrible thing to tell myself. But when I started to get replies, like I think personally, and again, everybody's going to have their own opinion, but me personally, if I can send an automated email to book a meeting or to say, hey, are you interested? Do you want to raise your hand and have a conversation further? To me, that's the way to go. And I think it's
Man,
it's working effectively. I think it's utilizing technology at our highest power. I mean,
absolutely.
that's how things go viral. It's through
Yeah.
technology, right? Like Ryan said, I'm signing
Oh
up
yeah,
now.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and Ryan's a go-getter,
Oh yeah.
and
Oh,
I love it. I mean, so and also one thing that I want to make sure we share with everyone, because one thing that I thought was pretty cool is the different things you can select. So you can select like LinkedIn posts, you can select blogs, podcasts, and then it actually, when you get the CSV back that I saw, it has all those different columns for what they were able to research. And then if they can't find anything, it also writes AI generated copy that maybe doesn't have anything.
Right. So there, like our average match rate will be around 85 to 90%. Sometimes 100, just really depends on who you're reaching out to. If you're reaching out to really tiny companies, a founder who doesn't really have any digital footprint, then it obviously becomes a little bit more tricky to find something that's really relevant. So there's that. And the thing is, if we're not able to find anything, you don't pay. So we only charge one credit for prospects for whom we're able to produce any type of output. And yeah, you already touched on the different options that you have in terms of selection. So how I like to explain it is you can think about it as if you actually had an assistant. You would tell your assistant, listen, first see if that person has recently been on a podcast, or if they're publishing a newsletter, or if they've been featured on Forbes or anything. If you cannot find that, then move on to their LinkedIn profile and see what their about section says. If they don't have a LinkedIn about section, look at their website and see if they have any recent case studies or if there's any recent news around the company. If not, then and that's how it automatically moves on pretty much and researches in the exact priority you wanted to research.
You see, that's killer, man.
oh my God,
Like
that's
really,
I mean,
is that? I
oh,
know. Is that not like the best thing you've ever heard for a salesperson? Like how could you not want to get in on that? Like how do you not want to use that? And even just, I mean, hell, go get the 25 free credits. Everyone watching, listening right now, get it. Let them know you came from the Sales Chatter HPLS podcast. Let them know. And try it, because I personally, when we entered my name, and it was like, wow, that's like just the way the email's worded, I'd be like, yeah, I'd answer that. I'd answer it, and I'm pretty protective about who I answer. Like I hit ignore more than any a lot, and mainly I do it. Um, and here's where, and here's actually really good for us to have a conversation about. When I say I hit ignore a lot, I don't want to sound egotistical or anything, but I get, just like every one of us, I'm sure, gets, because I have founder or CEO, or I forget whatever the hell I have in LinkedIn anyways. I get templates where people are like, hey, this, and this, are you interested in having a meeting? And I look at it and I'm like, I have nothing to do with this type of industry. Like there is zero effort put into this. And I know what it is. Don't get me wrong. I know it's a simple click, 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 find email, right? Where they might do a search on Navigator or something. And I've done it. Don't get me wrong. I've done it where I just, okay, I'm transportation and logistics companies and I want to talk to the VP of sales, and I hit go, right?
yeah,
And there's a VP of sales for a software company. They're not training salespeople to sell. So it's and I've had those come back. So that's when I started getting more in depth as to who I was. That's why I love the fact, Hans, that you have to upload that CSV, like that file, because to me, that's critical. Take the time to go through. I mean, listen, I have a bunch of, and I showed you, Hans, in the back end of my LinkedIn, I've got a bunch of Boolean searches. And I specifically handpick each one that I want to connect with or that I want to send an email to. And to me, I think that's the critical part of it. Like, so there's the templates that mean nothing to anyone. and I'm sure a lot of you listening, Jeff, I know you have owner of RGTX Logistics, or your company. Gary, same thing. And so I'm sure you guys get some of the same emails that are completely not even close to relevant. But
all the
to
time.
have a system that helps you become relevant in that first email, I mean, you're right, DJ. Like,
Yeah.
mind blowing, man. It's
It's,
cool.
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to even put it into, I guess it's like a virtual assistant on steroids. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I'm trying to figure out like the right way to explain it, but
It's like Ronnie Coleman in
that's what
his
it sounds like to
prime
me.
as a virtual assistant.
Yeah.
And for anyone that knows Ronnie Coleman, that dude was big, man.
Yeah, I bet he had some fast
And
fingers, exactly.
yeah, so I mean, it's like Ronnie Coleman as your virtual assistant. I think, personally, Hans, I think it is one of the
Oh
greatest
man,
things in this world.
share what Ryan just said, right? Yes, I agree with Ryan. I think if you want to make a difference, 2022, test it out, guys. You gotta go. Look, the link's gonna be down there.
Yeah, that's
He
a
said,
game changer,
yeah,
100%. And
yeah,
you guys, so what I'll actually do is I'll hop over to LinkedIn here while you guys are chatting, and I'm gonna actually throw this link in LinkedIn for all y'all, because I put it in YouTube and Facebook, but I didn't put it in LinkedIn yet. So
yeah.
there we go. It's in now. Y'all on LinkedIn got it as well. Go over there, grab your 25 free credits, try it out. Hell, you got nothing to lose with trying it out, but you got everything to gain. Because I tell you, excited to
Yeah,
try this. All right, hey, welcome, my friend
yes.
Henley. Welcome, brother.
Hey,
Welcome.
what's going
So
on?
yeah, this is awesome. So what are some of the if I don't even know if you're allowed, Hans, but what are some of the updates that you got coming? What are some of the cool things you got coming
Yeah.
down the pipe
Any
to
teasers?
give a
Any
little open
teasers?
loop tickler, everyone?
Right. So yeah, like as you mentioned, at the risk of my co-founders coming
No
coming
worries, sir.
for coming for my scalp, then so there's some boring stuff that really excites me. So infrastructural updates where instead of and basically no one needs this who's listening probably, but then again we have users who love it, where instead of 1,000 per hour we're able to process 10, maybe 20,000 per hour. So you can imagine the types of agencies who would benefit from that. They love it.
Yeah.
So we have that. Then we have some integrations coming up. For example, Zapier integration, which means that you can use your output with anything. You can use Zapier to set up your own automated workflows, wherever you would like to set those up. And then this is where I get into risky territory when it comes to sharing too much. But then again, we're getting closer, so I might as well share a little bit. When it comes to finding data, we're able to find an extreme amount of data. So right now we're using that to produce output for your emails, for example. I already mentioned it a little bit, where you're also then able to use that same data for your sales calls, for example. And we're not talking about okay, here's their Facebook URL or here's their Instagram URL or anything like that. We're talking about hobbies that these people have, recent online activity like podcasts that I already mentioned, or blogs that they've posted, but also the type of content that they interact with. Just
That's
anything that you can think of that will be valuable, but also tendencies of what they tend to do, things like that. So just really ammo where you have a profile of that person that you can then use to sell to them, pretty much to build that connection without having to switch between 100 tabs. So those are just some of the things that we're working on. I think I shared a little bit too much, but then again, like I said, we're getting closer. Plus, so it's all good. And so if people, they make sure that you stay in touch, even if right now you feel okay, this maybe isn't what I'm going to be using. Make sure that you keep opening our emails, because I can pretty much guarantee that we have things coming up that each and every salesperson on the planet would think of as valuable. So really excited about that, what we have coming up, and yeah, just I can't wait personally.
The biggest thing for me out of all of that is when you said Zapier. Because for all of you that don't know what Zapier is, some of you might not know what Zapier is. Zapier is probably the largest connection tool. Like there's if this, then that. But Zapier, for example, is the way I put Zapier is, now cars that have technology, that technology is superseded as soon as you plug your iPhone in or your Android in, and an Apple CarPlay or Android Auto come up, because you hit a button, you can send an email, you can send a text, you can answer a call, you can search the web, you can do like all of these things through your phone. And Zapier pretty much becomes that phone. I mean, Zapier's integration, just in case, again, some of you might not know, say you use HubSpot, you can tell Zapier once Lyne.AI is incorporated with Zapier, you can say, if the person opens that email, then make a check mark or send them into the next part of the sequence, or put them in line for a phone call 2 days from now. And Zapier does all of that. Like, Zapier is one of the coolest tools for the last couple of years. And companies, one of their first things from a digital perspective is trying to integrate with Zapier, right? Like, if anyone goes to Zapier, I think you can get a free account where you can do like 100 zaps a month or something. So a zap is every time it does something. I've got Zapier for a lot of my online stuff. And what happens is I can, somebody can visit a page and then it sends a zap to hit them with a pixel and then do this and then do that. And it's like got 15 different things that it does. It's a really cool tool. So for all of you that don't know, that integration, HubSpot, Salesforce, I mean, all of these companies have hundreds of Zap connections. So even if Lyne does not necessarily API into your system directly, you can, am I right or wrong, Hans? You can probably get around it with a Zap.
Yeah, most definitely. And so that's exciting. And then just, I really love nerding out of a cold outreach and automation and email and all that, and setting up those automated workflows. So what that also allows you to do, and you already mentioned a little bit, is where you connect with someone on, so you can have that whole sequence fully personalized. So you connect with someone on LinkedIn, which can be done automated. So say, hey, this, that, would you like to connect? PS, notice that you went to Cornell, go Big Red, just learned that as a cookie club or whatever. Then you send automated emails saying, hey, just following up from LinkedIn, figured I'd reach out to you here as well, see if maybe we can connect. PS, really enjoyed your latest blog post on the benefits of this and that. Then once they open that email, you can automatically send another email or a message on LinkedIn with like, hey, notice you checked this out, by the way, noticed, like, really impressed with your award for this and that, excited to learn what you took away from that. Then after a couple of days, if they didn't respond to that message, you can send another personalized email where you can either personalize the PS a bit within the email, the intro. So every single touch point that you have with someone can be personalized. And I'm really confident that someone, and I might just try that out just for the heck of it, where you can have AI, like the bits that we have, you can have AI read that and have a ringless voicemail using Drop Cowboy, for example, where you then have a personalized voicemail dropped into someone's voicemail inbox. That again is personalized as well. We have that entire sequence, including speech, that is just fully automated. And you just have that entire sequence going out. Every single touch point is personalized to what that person does, and just nothing about it feels as if it's automated, but it is. And that will, instead, even if that just increase your response rates by 10% over the year, that's going to add so much to the bottom line that it's just a no-brainer, I feel, for pretty much anyone.
That's awesome. Hans, thank you so much for being here, brother.
Oh,
I mean,
my goodness.
I've been so excited to get you on this show, because ever since you and I started talking a couple of weeks ago, it's been just,
I can vouch for that. He's been going
I've been
crazy.
raving in the background,
He's
brother.
been teasing me with this. Oh, just wait. You gotta hear it. You gotta hear it. Teasing me.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks
I
for being here,
appreciate it
brother.
too,
Really
Jim.
appreciate it. And for all of you watching and listening, remember, go out, grab this. It's super, super cool stuff. And if you get in the comments, remember, one of our sponsors, Centurion Trucking, if you're ever looking for freight from Western Canada to Ohio, Indiana, New York, Toronto, back and forth with all the challenges going on out west, give Daman a call. His email is in the show notes. Give him a call. Him and his team are looking for great expansion this year. And you know what? Damon's entire purpose is people over profit. how can they serve your customer at the highest levels? Until next time, my friends, remember, go out there, make every call educational, crush your sales, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Hans. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.